There's a whole thing with Baby Hoodslam, Vinny turning into a gorilla. Like they moved his brain to the gorilla because he had an alien virus. But then we had this zombie brained gorilla, which I was like, I don't think we kept the right part. I remember being confused by that. This wasn't like all me. I take ideas from everyone. I was like, but we just have like a alien zombie gorilla now. Like, how does this the best combination?
Hello, my friends, and thank you so much for watching Let's Get Cereal, the weekly show where I, your host, Alyssa Marino, eat cereal, talk about stuff, and sometimes talk to people. And today's people is a fantastic people. Pro wrestler, Hoodslam founder, the fabulous and ferocious Dark Sheik. Dark Sheik, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you again.
It's great to see you too. Missed you so much. So without further ado, I think we should get right into it with the reveal of our cereal for today. So Let's do a little drum roll, please. We'll add this in post. And go. Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisp. So we're going to get into a little bit more of our decision on picking this particular cereal. But let's get our bowls ready and let's dig in, why don't we?
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little ready already.
Oh my gosh, you're so prepared. You're so prepared. Okay, here we go. I'm catching up. I'm right behind you. Without further ado, Dark Sheik, let's get cereal.
Super good.
When was the last time that you had Cookie Crisp? Has it been a bit?
I don't know. Like 20 years? Who knows?
Oh my gosh. Is it the taste of nostalgia?
It's great. I don't think I even remember how this tasted. It's delicious. I believe it was this good then.
It makes me so thrilled. So when we were first chatting about this episode, we were throwing around some different cereal ideas and different choices. I know that Diggum, the froggy mascot from Honey Smacks, was brought into the conversation. So do you feel like you are more likely to eat a cereal based on taste or based on like a really cool mascot?
Oh, it's the mascot for sure. Like it's all about Smacks. When I could not get Smacks, that's when we came across the Cookie Crisp. Like taste is important. And to be real, a lot of days now, I'm like, oh, like Special K protein. How nice. Like with yogurt. Wow. how exotic. But for this, I was like, let me like think about what I actually want and not just, what is fuel for this vessel.
Sure.
And it was a few choices, but I went to the mascots. Mascot. Yes. I'm a sucker for good marketing. And
same.
Yeah.
No, we like what we like. And also I want you to know too, I like to remind people this is a safe space. So if you want to eat while we're talking and talk with your mouth full, you are more than welcome to. No one is judging. This is just the way we do it on Let's Get Cereal. So
that's fantastic. And I will.
Please take me up on that. So there we go. This is almost the unintelligible conversation is what makes this show so special. So.
You've chosen the perfect guest.
I know I have. So one of the things I think that cereal always reminds me of is just enjoying Saturday morning cartoons as a little kid. So what was on the TV for you as a child? Did you have a certain lineup of shows that were your go-tos when you were growing up?
Yeah, at 9 a.m., WMAC Masters would come on. The World Martial Arts Council. I was a big fan of Tsunami. After that, WCW Saturday Morning Pro, not Worldwide, Saturday Morning Pro would come on at 9:30. They'd have like a few matches. I think it'd be over in a half hour, maybe an hour. Then the Spider-Man and X-Men cartoons. And then Soul Train. That was every Saturday. That's how I remember it going.
I absolutely love that. And I want to say, I think you're maybe the third person that's mentioned WMAC Masters on this show. So definitely, I think it was a very crucial role in a lot of people's childhoods. So, and you mentioned wrestling. So where does wrestling come into play for you in your life? And when do you make the decision to get into training?
Before I can remember things, honestly. I was watching it as a child, and by the time I was 6, I was already like, I'm gonna take karate so I can be good at wrestling later. And by the time I was 14, I was training, after 7 years of karate. So hard question to answer, couldn't tell you. Really early. Like, one of my first memories is watching Flair versus Steamboat, where Steamboat brings his family out. His son is on a white horse and his wife is there next to him. And then Flair comes out with 40 women with like big southern hair and like gaudy outfits, just coming out in a line like a parade. And then they wrestled for an hour and it was so good. And I was like, I should do this. This looks fun. I'm gonna do that too. So.
And I feel like the presentation, the fun, it's almost like Hoodslam is really the mixture of all of your Saturday morning lineup kind of combined into one company, right?
You noticed, so no.
That's
it. You nailed it.
So over the course of your journey from getting from the initial interest to eventually, how does this lead to the birth of Hoodslam?
Yeah, I really told myself I would never run a show. It looked like such a headache, and I just swore up and down, would never be me, could not be me. I wrestled for about a decade. I spent a year in Florida that I really, and that did no good for me, no good for Florida. Really helped nobody. Except for when I came back, I had reached that point where I stopped caring. And there's so much we like, not to where I stopped caring about doing a good job, but just about what anyone else thought or about like trying to make it, or really I was just doing it because I enjoyed it at this point. So that combined with 2 friends of mine, one of them saying I have a building, the other one saying I have a ring. They just kept telling me, if you ever want to do a show, you can. And I was like, gosh, like I don't want to, but the universe has just put it in my lap. Why don't I try it out? So that combined with like some leftover pieces of when I worked at a cannabis club, I was trying to do a patients only event where we could all smoke at, as they wanted me to say. Never came through, but just the notes from that combined with this opportunity led to the first Hoodslam. Wow.
And then fast forward to just last month, Hoodslam presented Entertainia X1, the huge anniversary event of an event that was actually referred to as an accidental phenomenon. So what is the meaning behind an accidental phenomenon? How does this shindig kind of come about?
I mean, the show was free for the first year, and it was very much just for fun. Like, because we weren't, I was past making it, and I wasn't worried about what anyone like saw. So it was just like, how do I make this fun for my friends, but maybe get eyes on them? So it just kind of grew and grew, and soon we were like charging for tickets. Then it went from 200 people. Well, it went from 30 people in a warehouse to 200 people, and then it went from 70 people in the opera house to 2,000 people outside the train station. So kind of an accident, I don't want to, I think people really like an underdog too. And I'd love to say like I had this master plan, but if I did, would it really be as fun? Isn't it more fun that I just kind of
just kind of wung it, just kind of happened? And I feel like a lot is to be said for just these factors within the universe, just kind of leading to what eventually was probably supposed to happen. So now, I talked to your Caution tag team partner, the lovely Anton Voorhees, about this a while back. And, Hoodslam has really seen some very zany action take place. Everything from interdimensional travel, occult rituals, doors to other realms, magical creatures, so much more. So in your recollection, what has been the wildest story that has been told within Hoodslam Ring?
Gosh, I'm on the spot. Really early, one that's been forgotten is we had this character named Mathia 2, who was in a relationship with Anthony Butabi, but then it was like assumed that her baby was sired by his brother Johnny Butabi, but when the baby was born, it came out as zombie baby, so it was clear that it had been the lost brother, zombie Vinny Butabi, who had died years earlier. And there's a whole thing with baby Hoodslam, Vinny turning into a gorilla. Like they moved his brain to the gorilla because he had an alien virus. But then we had this zombie brained gorilla, which I was like, I don't think we kept the right part. I remember being confused by that. This wasn't like all me. You know, I take ideas from everyone. I was like, but we just have like a alien zombie gorilla now. Like, how does this the best combination? So that one comes to mind. There's one a couple years ago for 420 that I never explained to anybody, but I enjoyed, where at 420, the show just like the lights went out, the commentator was gone, a bunch of wrestlers were just in the ring, very confused how they got there. And the story unfolded, and eventually, like 40 minutes later, the lights go out again, and Broseph is back on stage, and we just ignored it. We pretended nothing happened. The next month, a match happened where a bunch of people get sent to another dimension. A month after that, we see them all come back. So it's all told out of sequence, but...
Oh, that's cool.
I just never seen it in wrestling, and I was like, I don't even want to explain it. I'm just going to do it. It's the 420 show. If they get it, great. If they don't, you know, who knows who will remember this by June, but we went with it. I had fun.
I love that. And that's such an interesting treat to your regular monthly crowd that's coming. It's kind of a way to reward them of like, hey, you saw this, you know what this is. So like, thanks for sticking with us. Here's a fun little Easter egg.
That's always been my approach. Cool. With Hoodslam, I want to have people who've never been there have like a complete show that they're happy with. But if you've been there 2, 3, 260, 300 times, whatever it's been, you'll be rewarded the more you're there, because I do pay attention to things. I won't just like drop a storyline if I can help it. Layers for everyone.
Layers, and also something that I think is much appreciated, the presence of live music that has really played a role in pro wrestling. So what kind of music do you like to listen to, or what have you been listening to lately?
All kinds of stuff. Chromatics comes to mind. I've been listening to that. Twin Peaks season 3 a few years ago. I think that's when I jumped on there. A lot of like indie punk, like girl bands lately, you know, like take Rebel Girl and your Spotify and go from there. And you'll find a lot of what I've been listening to, and still a bunch of video game music, of course. I have to.
Oh, and I'm glad you mentioned video game music, because you've showcased it in the ring, a lot of different pop culture influences, including really sick cosplay kind of gear, different themed events, and online you share different books or graphic novels. So what are some of the things that you enjoy doing when you're unwinding or when you aren't wrestling?
It's mostly reading. You know, if I like spend time with friends and loved ones, great, but mostly reading. Like I'm just going through books, comics. Sometimes I'm trying to like learn a little bit more. I grew up speaking Farsi, but haven't had a lot of opportunity to like keep it going. So I'm trying to like practice my Farsi, or like maybe I'll try like Japanese for a week and forget everything. You know, a lot of that, just like always taking that first lesson again.
It's always fresh though. It's always a fresh little thing.
It's great. Yeah. I don't have great retention, so it's new every time.
I love that.
Yeah. You know, I just all day. You see my Twitter. It's just all day, nonstop.
You love it. Are you still as active of like a gamer?
No. I'm still buying them. I just like I'll play Cyberpunk for like 4 hours. I'm like, that was fun. And I'm like, oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy game. I play that for like 2 hours, and then I'm out of town again, and another game comes up the next week. So, and you know, it'll like once a year I'll play Silent Hill 2 again. I like to play that every October. So there's a couple that don't go away, but I haven't like gotten to sit down for 8, 12, 16 hours with a video game like I used to.
Those marathon gaming sessions.
Yeah. I did just burn through Metroid Dread. Like I beat that twice in about a week and a half. So I guess I'm a little bit wrong when I say I'm not playing that much, but
I mean, maybe not on the same schedule that you used to have, but I think it's still there. It's that inner gamer urge is still there.
Well, usually it's like I wake up and I sit on the couch till it's nighttime, where now it's like I'm on a plane for 3 hours and I put it away. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, where was I? It's very broken up. And again, I don't retain things, so it's kind of difficult.
But it's a fun surprise every time you open the game. Absolutely. You're like, oh, right, there I was.
Right. It's brand new again. Yeah.
And you mentioned travel. Certainly you have been busy, because after, you know, a kind of wonky 2020, travels this year have taken you out and about, from No Peace Underground in Florida, GCW in Philly, Indiana, Illinois. So, I mean, what's next for Dark Sheik? What's kind of lined up for you?
I have a lot of GCW coming up. I'm at the Hammerstein show, January 23rd in New York. That's huge to me.
Yes.
watching so much like ECW, the whole time, all of ECW. But also, I'm doing their New Year's show in New Jersey, New Year's Eve. And so I'll be on those two. I plan on surviving. Hopefully more Hoodslam on the West Coast. I'm still the UGWA champion of Sharks. They call it like the Underground Wrestling Association, San Jose, something, something. There's a shark on it. I'm the champion of Sharks.
It's a giant title too.
It's huge. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I usually carry a belt over my shoulder, but because this one is so ridiculously big, I put it on and it's like below my waistline, like to my chin. And like I have to like get in the ring so carefully. I'll just cut everything on my body.
Oh my God.
It's so heavy and it's awesome. I love it. If it was any more like it couldn't be any more uncomfortable. And if it was, I would love it more. But it's just my favorite thing is to hold it upside down. I just don't know why. I've seen it in wrestling a million times. Accident, but I'm just like, yes, upside down belt. We're doing like
it's almost like the shark is gonna bite your head off.
I like to think like we're gonna Eskimo kiss.
Oh, maybe. That's kind of sweet. Oh, I like that better. I like that better. So
both good.
Both good. Yeah.
Both a great show.
Obviously, wrestling has been such a major part of your life from a very early age. And you've shared online how you consider wrestling to be a religion. So what does being a high priestess of the Church of Wrestling mean?
Hopefully it means that if anyone is in pain or confusion or this is like very wrestler specific, but a lot of times we get like into a bad headspace. Yeah. I think it's because we like have these expectations or people get in our head and you can't come to wrestling assuming eventually, well, I've earned it and I deserve it and it'll come to me. Like, no, just like I said, I had to become miserable. And then when I just did it because I still loved it and that was the only thing that mattered, not money or making it, that's when I succeeded. So ideally people can kind of like let go of, well, I got to be this because so-and-so said I'll get booked more, or I have to be that. Or I'm too this, or I'm not that enough. It can be a real mind fudge. And I want to help people with that. I also want to just kind of like bring wrestling to a place where people are not embarrassed to admit it means that much to them. Because it can be a bit, you tell someone like, well, I love wrestling, like, oh, it's fake. It's like, no, like, it's as real as anything. My goal is basically to spread what I feel from wrestling. I just had a moment where I realized I love this so much. It's given me so much, and it's kind of like rude of me to not share that and to spread that word. So ideally, the idea is that I can help people find that same love that I have. And I know it's in them. They just need a little help, like shining it and bringing it out.
I definitely feel that. And I think that definitely, mental health is such a big conversation, especially within wrestling. So, what do you do as far as self-care or just prioritizing mental health in this industry?
I have a skewed perception of everything, maybe because I've done this like my whole life, or at least plan to, or maybe because just the last 20, whatever it is. I just try not to like hang on to anything too intensely right now. Like I want to live in the moment, but I'm aware that this is already a 27-year timeline that I'm on, and I think it's going to go another, 200 years. So when I try, how easy is it to get upset about something today? Like very, but like for me to pick something from 10 years ago, it'd be like, oh, I was upset this day. Like I can't even remember it. So when I try and keep that perception, it helps. And also just all of life is, to me, a great drama. And it's kind of the point is the struggle and the fight. The real truth lies in the heart of battle. So whether that be internal or external, but I'm like really all over the place right now.
Oh, I love this.
Thank you. Okay.
This is good serial talk.
Okay. The way I cope with it though is just that it's not that I don't let it get to me. I just think about the bigger scale. And how this is the point. Like without the depths, there aren't the heights. And everything is kind of, if I take a pendulum to here, it's going to swing to here. I can't just take it and swing it to the middle. It has to go to both sides. So the range of experience is like part of the journey and part of what makes life fun. If I knew everything that was going to happen, It would be like watching a TV show I've already seen. I almost wouldn't even be there. That's how I know it's part of the show. I actually appreciate when I can learn from things, and I try and just be better every time, not miss the lesson.
Definitely. And I think that's something too, where your perspective, your experiences, and how you've passed them on and speak about them, and the idea of the Church of Wrestling is something where you've already made such an impact on this industry. So what is the legacy that you hope to have in the world of pro wrestling? 200 years, your 200-year career.
I feel like a lot of it maybe was already established, at least in Oakland Bay Area. With Hoodslam, we've done something where it won't go away. I can announce a show right now and it'll sell out like immediately. And that's not because I announced all this talent on it. It's just because we've done it for so many years, so consistently well, and kept changing what we're doing to keep it fresh, that it's there. The legacy has existed and it sells its own ticket. I don't have to market it. I also think that, I don't know if this is something that other people will see, but 12 years ago, this was not such a, there's so many fun shows now. They were not 12 years ago. There's so many 21 and up shows with music and tongue-in-cheek humor and weed smoke and burlesque and all these things that we started over there. Maybe not the first for all of them, but I think we had a very unique format that has been replicated, and I'm happy about that because I want people to have fun doing wrestling. I'm not upset, but perhaps that's the legacy, the shift from all these bitter indie wrestlers to now people having the most fun they've ever had. Can I take complete credit for that? No, but I'll try.
Well, you are definitely a gift to the pro wrestling world. You are an absolute gem. And honestly, I just thank you for sharing your story, for sharing your journey, and for sitting and having a bowl of cereal with me today. So do you have any kind of messages for fans out there, for our breakfast buddies at home, before we let you go?
I would just say to do what makes you happy. Follow your heart. Don't, just like I was talking about with wrestlers, we get hung up on oh, I'm supposed to be this, or if I don't do that, I won't do this or that. You can spend your whole life trying to appease other people, but as soon as you start making yourself happy, it goes a lot further. Because, when I came out as trans, there was a fear that I'd lose a lot of friends, but I realized if this is what it takes to lose them, then I already don't have them. Yeah. And the ones I do have will be very genuine, and hopefully, and at least about this, and I'll be left with a stronger core than with this scattered, I want to please everybody. So what I'd say is do that. You don't have to be the person that everyone likes. You should be the person that the good people like and the bad people don't like. You should be threatening bad people. You don't need everyone to like you. And in fact, the people that speak ill of me, I'm very proud of that they're the ones that do it. So go for that. And if everything I said sounded like BS to you and you're this Dark Sheik is a crazy lady, I don't care for her very much at all, that's fine. There are 10 million wrestlers and 20 million musicians and all sorts of artists and independent creative people that are in your town right now doing a open mic. Maybe it's comedy, maybe they have some prints they're selling at a local print convention, whatever it might be. Go find them, support them. Take that money that you've decided will never go to me, give it to someone that will appreciate it. Because if you buy their CD, their art, their t-shirt, it'll mean the world to them, and you'll be helping the world have creative new things. So that's my plea, my advice, whatever you want to take it as.
So support art in any and all shapes and forms, and just keep that good energy going forward. I love that.
Yeah, pay it forward.
Pay it forward. And you are a breath of fresh air, my friend. And I'm so glad that I got to chat with you and catch up a little bit. So we're going to put below all the places where people can find you online so that they can keep up to date with Dark Sheik. Until next time, my friends, continue to do your best to be your best. And we will see you later.